tale of two halves yet again in Hyderabad. MPL presents Cricbuzz Live. On Cricbuzz Combox, it was 10 overs, 80 for 1. And well, in terms of our predictions, we had a range from 148 to 187. And it was like, okay, which of us? I was favourite. It could have passed to Michael Vaughan. It could have passed to Ajay Jadeja. Instead, 52 runs in the last 10 overs. That's unprecedented. But stranger things have happened, especially on this ground, in terms of scores being defended. Quick word from our gentleman here. Michael, you were just saying off air, they've got enough.
Yeah, they probably have. I mean, if you look at the last two scores, the Sunrisers have tried to chase down. They haven't got to the 132 range. So, you know, I think it'll be a game on. You'd expect them to chase it down because it's not a huge score. But I thought the way that they changed their kind of bowling in the last 10 overs. In the first 10, I thought it was a little bit samey. And then they suddenly realised slower balls, cutters, Rashid Khan was outstanding. And the Chennai Super Kings just couldn't get going. I have no idea what Jadeja was doing at the end, but he was just having a nice middle practice, wasn't he? And then all of a sudden he realised he had to hit a few. And it was difficult because the ball was sticking in the surface. So I still think it's going to be competitive, but you'd expect a team to chase that target.
Yeah, they've had their problems with the ball, but this time around they learned quickly from those 10 overs. First 10. SRH did.
Yeah, they did, because the first 10 overs didn't go for them. They were going well. And I mean, it's difficult to understand. Only thing that I could see was, you know, anybody who gets in, when looking at the last game and this game, it's probably tough for somebody who's just got in. But once you get in, there's nothing in the wicket. Normally, you'd see a score like this if the ball's getting rougher and the ball's not coming onto the bat. Nothing of that sort. The ball's stopping as much as it's stopping at the start or at the end. So why would it be that, you know, players are okay playing the first 10 overs? And once they start looking for those runs, there's just, you know, it's difficult for me. I have not been able to figure out the last three games here. But I'm with him. I think this is not enough. Definitely a different pitch from the last two games. SRH should make it easily.
I'm going to have a bit of a gripe. Taking an hour and 50 odd minutes to bowl 20 overs is ridiculous. Something has to be done. You know, you've got to penalise the teams on the day. You can't.
Runs penalty would be more effective, not money.
Nah, and money doesn't affect any of these guys. It's irrelevant. Money, 50% fines. Who cares when you're earning so much money? You know, they've got to penalise them on the game, on the actual day. You know, the actual Super Kings should be going into that, if it's them that's cost them or whoever it is, they should be going into that dressing room with a few more runs, and they have to chase a few more, because it's just not, it's not right that a short format game that brought in years and years ago for Crash Band Wallet, great entertainment, is taken an hour and 50 odd minutes to bowl 20 overs, completely out of order.
They used to have a rule at some point in 50 over cricket that at that 3.5 hour mark, obviously you adjust for any proper stoppages. The chasing side then gets only the number of overs that they've bowled in at that point.
Yeah, that used to be the rule before the IPL came around. And then what did we start with? A 7.5 minute strategy break first year? Or first couple of years we used to have 2 of those. Now we're down to 2.5 minutes. Plus you allow them, you know, whether it's the batsman or the bowler, allow them to have water. We seem to take breaks after every couple. You know, they ran a couple in the 17th over. And then he was changing his gloves, which were things that you weren't allowed to do. I don't think it's between the balls that it's taking that long. It's the breaks that the umpires allow the players to have.
I agree.
And of course your strategy break, because strategy break starts with the television and then it ends with the television. There's about 1.5 minutes before you go off air, and then when you come off air, it's not like the ball is ready as soon as the clock goes on. So it's not during the match. I mean, during while the play is going on. I think the breaks that you allow to the players is probably the problem.
We've no strategic timeout, no adverts, no stoppages. You'd expect 20 overs in a short format game to be bowled in an hour and 15. Now, if you add on the adverts and the strategic timeout, I completely get that. It's commercial. It's going to make a lot of money. That's what it's about. You add another 15 minutes, so that's an hour and 30. Yeah? Where does another 22 minutes come from? I'll never know. 22 minutes over. Yeah. I'd get an hour and a half, I understand that, but to be 22 minutes over, I think it's killing the goose, that.
Yeah. When the last ball's bowled and the next ball is bowled, if you see the time between that, and I don't know whether it's the players who are making the television wait or it's the television broadcaster who are asking the players to hold on, because the umpires seem to have a earpiece as well, so unless the umpire says you can play, and it used to be the umpire who would make a call, now it's the broadcaster, the director, who says, okay, hold on. The play can't start. So I think the players get blamed more often but it's probably the things outside the cricket ground that's making this happen.
Let's put that aside. We're also making Michael wait for Tottenham against Man City. That's important. So we've got to think of that. Let's get back, because the jury may be divided in terms of where these runs stand. But the fact is, we've seen small totals like this defended on this very ground recently by this very team chasing, and they haven't chased really well. So could the Chennai Super Kings be feeling that, could this be deja vu again? Can we do it? Can we do what other teams have done? In this case, the Mumbai Indians and the Delhi Capitals. Look at the target for Hyderabad. 137, 156 is still a more decent target, but they were on target at 72 without loss. Now, this is something that Chennai dressing room will be looking at and saying, guys, it's up on the wall.
Yeah, I mean, if MSD was behind the stumps, marshalling the troops, I would back the Chennai Super Kings. I just think he's a 20% sway. Suresh Raina's a good captain, but MS Dhoni would just know exactly what to play and what cards to pull at the right times. And because of those two, we've just seen the collapses, the last two games on this venue, you would surely expect them to have learned from them. You would surely think that they've had a few chats, and it's only 130 odd. It's an easy chase, really. There's nothing that should warrant you having to take too many huge risks or gambles. You can just play normal cricket and you should be able to get over that. Of course, the first six you try and capitalise, but from outside the six, the rate's never going to get silly. It's never going to get anywhere that you'd look at and go, oh, wait a minute, we're going to have to play huge risks. It's just play good, sensible cricket, so keep your head and you should be able to get over the line. But because of the last two games, I'm sure the Sunrisers will be thinking, oh no, here we go again.
MST, the captain, he said, do you think CSK missed MST, the batsman, at the end there?
Yeah.
Oh, they certainly did, and you will miss him. And they've got used to playing that way. You saw the over number 17 with Ravindra just blocking it out and trying to see that through. That's what MSD does. But what he does at the end is he, makes up for it. And these guys probably don't have that skill.
It's actually coming down. I mean, that run rate's generally supposed to go up. You can have a power play, you can have a decent power play, consolidate in the middle, and then go for it. Obviously, with wickets in hand. They had enough wickets in hand. It was coming down from 6.83 to 6.77 to just 30 in the last 5.
Yeah, because this was the last pair left, and you've seen CSK play that way. They even when they don't have enough batting or they lose wickets at the top, they go all the way to over number 17, 18. It's the last couple overs. They believe that let's get whatever we can, rather than there are most teams who probably go out there early. These guys play it that way, and it's just that the last couple overs, they weren't going to get enough. I mean, they didn't get enough today, but it is MSD.
Full credit to the Sunrisers. They bowled well. They made it difficult. They didn't just put it on a plate. They were changing pace, changing angle. Different types of slow balls, which is so important in this format of the game. And when they went to bowl the Yorker, they pretty much got it in there. So it was good execution from skills from the Sunrisers.
It gets easy when you have somebody like Raidu and Ravindra at the end. We've got MS or a Pollard in there, or somebody who can whack it. That's when the Yorkers don't come right, and that's when you start seeing full tosses.
But not to labour too much on the point, I mean, how ironic is it that when we have all this talk about the team selection and the 3D and the clash, the first ball that Ambati Raidu faces is Vijay Shankar after that?
Always going to be the case, wasn't it? And you'll guarantee that Shankar's going to come out under pressure. And there's going to be a bit of chirp, and Raidu will be close by, and he'll be having a word or two. It's just the nature of international sport. When you pick a team, there's always a game around the corner that both players will be playing against each other. And the spotlight, I thought Raidu played okay. He played nicely, but he needs someone with him. He needs someone striking it with him. So then he can play the tricks. He didn't have anyone at the other end really getting the pressure back onto the bowlers. So he played all right. He looks like he's dealing with it well. He gave a good tweet of the week for me. No question.
Tweet of the week?
He needs to stay on Twitter.
Absolutely. What just remind you again, because we had so many points to discuss sort of on and off the field, that let's just once again remind you exactly what the first 20 overs, no matter how long it took, has served up. 132 for 5, and it was sort of a laboured effort. And after 80 for 1, let's remind you, in the first 10, Faf du Plessis looked really good until he got out to Vijay Shankar. Shane Watson coming back to form, but not quite the form that he had couple of months before the IPL, and certainly last year with a couple of hundreds. But at least they'll be thinking that yes, they've got something for him to come back for the latter half, because he's one of those players who's there till the end.
Yeah, and I think he played pretty okay because he was stuck. He didn't have partners at the other end, and that's his game. I mean, he's not one of those who strikes sixes at the end. I mean, yes, he maneuvers the game. He can get you 8, 10, 12 and over. He's not one who's going to get 20 run overs. And maybe this year he's batting, not at the number that he prefers. Where he opens, he can get going first and then settle down. Here he came in at a time where he had to hold the innings together because they were losing wickets at the other end. That see, he's got a limitation. I mean, they're all good players, but they each have their strengths and weaknesses. And this is Raidu's strength. He maneuvers the game, but he's not one who's going to go out there and take the game away from you ever.
Let's also look at the power play, because we've tried to pull out some numbers from the power play scenario in terms of their bowling, and this is what we've been following throughout in terms of this was obviously before today's game. But have a look at the bowling sides in the power play this season. And again, Hyderabad and Chennai right on top in terms of wickets taken. Chennai in second place because we've put it in order of economy. But again, these two teams have been impressive when it comes to that first power play.
Yeah, and that's going to be key for Chennai to get some early wickets. Look at that, 17 in the power play. That's a lot of wickets. And it's because of Chahal. He's bowled beautifully. Used a bit of Jadeja as well. They've had Harbhajan bowling in the power play. He got rid of the universe ball. Santner's been good as well. So yeah, they've got good options in the power play, and you feel when you're defending such a lowish total, they're going to have to come out of the traps and get a few early poles. So catching, fielding, they'll have to squeeze. They're probably going to have to maybe keep 5 fielders in the circle, outside the first 6 as well, to try and force the big strokes. I think it's going to be a fascinating chase because the previous 2 games on this venue, the Sunrisers, have completely collapsed. And whatever the start is, whatever the situation of them being on top, if they get into that situation, in the back of their mind has to be, wait a minute, you've got to see it home, because you lose 1 wicket, as we saw in the Chennai innings. If you lose 1, it's not easy for that new player coming out to start. So I think we're in for a nipper.
Tom Moody will want to forget what happened last year. They played each other 4 times, and it was 4-zip to the Chennai Super Kings.
I think this is their best chance to change that number, because you're not going to get a total to chase like this. I feel it'd probably be easier than how he's looking at it. They've made mistake twice, and I don't think they'd make it again. Looking at the Chennai bowling as well, I don't think that this would be defended. I just somehow feel it'd be a walk in the park.
Walk in the park with the Sunrisers, I like it.
It will be. You'll see a different side. With MS leading that side as a different team. We saw that in their batting as well. And when they come out in the field, I think Sunrisers shouldn't have a problem. Look, they've got 3 very experienced overseas players. They're going to be starting off. They have the opportunity, like he says, you need to take it till the end, and they would love to do that. There isn't a bowler in that side except Imran Tahir. Also, I see when he comes in. This is the batting lineup, right? You've got that, and Vijay Shankar's got the little pump at the moment, who just got picked for India. Yusuf Pathan hasn't had a big run. So if Yusuf's batting and the rate's gone from 6 to 8, 9, it won't worry him. It'll worry the Chennai Super Kings, because it's the spin that they play at the end, and Yusuf's comfortable there. So that's the way I see it. I think SRH is comfortable in this position at this moment, and the guys that they have are ideal for this run chase.
So we were MPL couchless as far as this show is concerned. Let's take a quick prediction for the end of the day. You said that it's going to be a walk in the park. How easy a walk in the park? Which over?
18 point some deliveries.
18 point some. Yeah. 19th over. 19th over for you. Are you going the other way? Or are you also saying that?
I think it's going to be a nipper. I think they'll probably win in the 19th. But what, just to go, I'll say that the Super Kings are going to defend this. I think they'll defend it. I'm actually not too sure, but I just think because of the history, I just think Sunrise have to win. Pressure on them.
All right.
MSD's a massive kind of sway, but yeah, I'll go with the yellows. Why not?
All right, he goes with the yellows. I'm going to go with Ajay Jadeja, except I'm going to say that it's going to be an even bigger stroll, because if they have to get a small score with those top 3 and Warner going big, although it's going to be a trouble for my MPL super team, but never mind that. I'm going 16th over for them to finish this. 16th over to finish this. Not a very big total to chase. So let's see what happens. That's the MPL presents Cricbuzz Live, is when we will find out who sits on that couch, if anyone at all. And of course, Cricbuzz Combox, although as far as the last innings is concerned, it meant absolutely nothing, because everything changed after that.